Hello, my name is Dr. Khadijah Ali Kuhlman, and I'm here again with session 2 during my series titled Homeschooling because of COVID-19. And so I wanted to bring to you some tips regarding looking for homeschool groups on social media platforms such as Facebook. And I think I'm going to focus on Facebook because if you are a parent who is now having to homeschool because your child's school has been closed because of the coronavirus, then you probably are feeling very overwhelmed right now, where you're in a panic, in a sense, where you have to begin finding resources to begin educating your child, basically. I know for many parents, you may be in contact with your child's teacher, but I know for a fact that that relationship with your child's teacher is really dependent on the teacher's ability to navigate social media, text messages, as well as their own responsibilities, particularly if your teacher, your child's teacher, is a parent as well. So they are navigating a whole lot of new things in order to adjust to what is happening right now in our world, where so much is changing in just record speed. And so I created this series because I want to be a resource to parents during this period of time. I actually have been homeschooling off and on for 12 years. My daughter now is 16, but I began homeschooling her very young, really kindergarten age, off and on. She has attended public school and private school, but when her dad and I have felt that the next grade where she's going or where she currently has been at the time may not have met our expectations educationally, we felt empowered to move her learning back home. I am an educator, and I recently um, conducted research. I earned my doctor credential conducting research on African American homeschool students. And so, in addition to being a homeschool parent, I also am a researcher regarding the benefits of homeschooling your child. And so I bring to you tips that are not only best practices that I've seen, but that I've experienced as a homeschooling parent as well. Now, Facebook is the most common place that those over 30 are flocking to. And I'm sure that there are probably some people watching this video who are parents that aren't yet 30. But, the research shows that many of the young people have left Facebook to those of us who are old. Those of us over 30, the young kids have been like, bye. And they're on spaces such as Instagram, Snapchat, a few more on Twitter than I would think on Facebook. But one of the benefits of Facebook that Facebook has, that Instagram does not have, that Snapchat does not have, are these groups. And Yahoo, excuse me, Yahoo, that's milk. Yahoo really, I look at Yahoo as being one of the social media platforms even before MySpace evolved or Black Planet or all these things that preface Facebook. I looked at Yahoo as really being this space where groups existed based on interest groups. But Facebook has really maintained these social groups that folks can join that are based on commonalities that people share. My first tip to you as a person homeschooling because of COVID-19 is to get on Facebook and do a search in the search box that's right there when you log in at the top and type in homeschooling and a characteristic that you associate with. So that characteristic may be racially based. If you're African American or you refer to yourself as Black, you might type in African American homeschool, Black homeschool. I think there is a group called Melanated Homeschool. But type in that characteristic. Many people are looking, for those who had children in public school and you're heavily a Christian family. Now's the opportunity to get with like-minded Christian homeschoolers. You can type in Christian homeschool. Some other characteristics may be single parent homeschooling. Homeschoolers located in, and then you type in your state. I live in Maryland, but the area that I live in is very close to Virginia and DC, and it's called the DMV. There's actually a homeschool group called Black DMV Homeschoolers. So two of my characteristics are right there in the title. So my first tip is do a search on Facebook for a group, multiple groups that may match with characteristics that you identify with. So these are identity groups. That you want to get a sense of what are some types of resources they may have. So first, you've got to do the search. Second, you want to, once you join the group, once they let you in, if they let you in, some are very particular as to who they let into the group, but once they let you in, you introduce yourself. All right, you don't just join the group and then start asking people for folks. You join the group, you introduce yourself. An introduction may be anything like, hello, my name is da 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 da, I am new to homeschooling, I'm glad to be here, thank you for letting me join. If someone invited you to the group, you thank that person who invited you. Very simple, but sometimes folks forget this. And the reason why it's important is particularly during this time, as someone who's been homeschooling for years and been part of a lot of these groups for years, I'm noticing that the conversation within these groups are where a lot of people who have been homeschooling for a while are feeling some kind of way, because many of us have endured over the years the scorn of those who look down, in a sense, on people who homeschool, thinking that our children are less socialized, that our children just are at a lack, that all of us are not qualified to be educating our children, and that something is going to be wrong with our children after they go through homeschooling with us, okay? And so there are homeschooling families, parents who are just not really feeling this culture that's beginning to grow, where parents who are forced now to homeschool because schools are closing are now entering these safe spaces that we've established for ourselves. And so as you are searching for these homeschool groups to join, it's really important that you are aware of some of these sentiments that may exist. So introducing yourself to the group is of the utmost importance, because you're not aware of how everyone's feeling in this group with you being present. And so not to say you have to walk on eggshells, but when you join any type of new a culture that is different from your own, that you now have to join or you're a part of, it is always important to first introduce yourself and then observe. All right. And so that leads into my third tip, which is to no, so you may, if you watched my first video was about really getting to know your children as learners, to get a sense of how they adapt to quiet time, what they do during their downtime, how they engage in creative play, things like that I went over in the first video. So hopefully, if you followed any of those tips, you now start to get a sense of who your child is as a learner, and now your wheels are maybe spinning outside of the box of what you're probably used to your child doing in a traditional school setting, as to what are all the possibilities that may be possible as someone who is the learning curator of their child's homeschool experience. And so I say all of that to say that your next step I would recommend would be to use the search engine box in that group that you're a part of, and type in topics that are of interest to you, to see what has already been discussed and shared in this group that may be available without you posting something in that group asking, does anyone know such and such? And so an example would be, you type in the search box in the group, movies for kindergartners, or movies for first graders, or outside activities for middle schoolers. Those are topic examples, but you get my drift that you want to get a sense of what folks are talking about, how they're talking about it, something that's relevant to you, things that are connected to what you have observed about your children, to get a sense of who's in this group, what are some things that they've been discussing, and what are some ideas that you can just grab a hold to right now and start to implement at home. It also gives you an idea of how folks communicate in this group. And it's always important to, rather than just joining groups and expecting the folks to heap upon you resources, is to see what resources already have been shared. I do this all the time. I do searches every time I join a new group, even within groups that I'm a part of that I may have muted, meaning that I haven't been getting regular notifications. I may go into the group and then start to do a search to see what are some of the things, the topics that have been discussed, looking specifically for things that I know are of interest for me. So that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. And to give you those three tips, is to do your search on Facebook for a group that closely matches your characteristics and identity. Two, once in the group, introduce yourself. And three, begin a search in the search box located in the group to see what are some of the things that have already taken place, already been discussed, already been shared. Before you start to ask of the members to share things with you, see already what has been shared, because you'll be surprised with the treasure trove of information that already exists in that group. So in closing, be kind, be patient, be easy. This is a new experience for everyone involved, and I wish you the best of luck as you are homeschooling because of COVID-19. Thanks so much for listening.